and welcome to today's class. Today we are going to learn a very important topic, which is subject-verb agreement. Now this is a topic which is very important for students starting from class 6 to class 12. Even if you are appearing for any kind of competitive exams, or you're not appearing for any exam, but you're just an adult and you want to communicate well in English, you need to know this. You need to have the basics right. So let us understand, let us learn what is subject-verb agreement, and let us learn all the nuances of this topic. Okay, so let's dive in. Okay, so let us understand what is subject-verb agreement. Now, any kind of language you communicate in, we know that we have to make sentences. We use sentences to communicate. Now, in a sentence, we always have a subject and a predicate part. Now, which is the subject? For example, let us take a very easy example. The sun rises in the east. Now, in this sentence, which is the subject? I know it's very easy for you all. We know that subject is the word or the noun or the thing about which the sentence is being made. We are talking about something or someone. So that is the subject. Here in this sentence, the sun rises in the east. The sun is the subject. And the rest of the part is the predicate. Now, inside the predicate, we have a verb, which is rises. So here it is. You will see in this sentence also, the subject and the verb agrees with each other. That means if the subject is singular, the verb has to be singular. If the subject is plural, the verb has to be plural. It's like shaking hands with each other. We can't make a sentence where the subject is plural and the verb is singular. In that case, we will be communicating in wrong English. Okay, so let us understand what are the things which we need to check in order to find out if you're using the right verbs with the right subjects. So here it is. Like if you see in this particular slide which I'm showing, we know the verb must agree with its subject. But how do we do that? How do we ensure that the verb agrees with the subject? For that, first we have to identify the subject. And then we have to also check the pronouns in the sentence. We also have to check the prepositions in the sentence because that is also very important. Why all these things are important, we'll come one by one. Just check, and please, if you have a copy or a notebook, please note down. Then we also have to check the determiners and the conjunctions in the sentences. Next, we also have to check the position of the subject near the verb. So if there are two subjects, we have to check the position of the subject which is near the verb, because there is a very important thing which we need to keep in mind. I'm not getting into that right now. As we move on with this class, you will come to know about everything. Don't worry. Another very important thing. We must comprehend the meaning of the sentence. It is very important. The meaning of the sentence is very important in many cases. If we understand the meaning of the sentence, means that whether the subject is being presented as a plural thing or a singular thing, that is something which we need to understand. So what I'm trying to tell, that we are going to understand in a very short time. So let's move on. Now let's check these sentences. The quality of the grapes was or were not so good. Now here, as we said, first things first, we need to identify the subject. Which one is the subject here? Can you tell me? There are two sentences. The quality of the grapes was or were not so good. The grapes was or were not so good. So in the first sentence, should we use a verb which is was or were? And in the second sentence, what should be the right verb? Was or were? Try to find it out by checking the subject first. So which is the subject in the first sentence? The quality of the grapes was or were not good. Let us understand this sentence first. The quality is the subject because we are not talking about grapes in this sentence. We are talking about, we are not talking about the grapes in general. We are talking about the quality of the grape. If we had spoken about the color of the grape, then the color, quality, and the grape in general are different. So in this case, quality is the subject because the focus word is quality, not the grapes. We are talking about the quality. Or in this, if this sentence had been the color of the grapes, then what would be the verb? Okay, the color of the grapes was or were not so good. Again, in this sentence, the color would be the subject. But in this sentence, the grapes was or were not so good. In this sentence, see, there is nothing else but the grapes. The grapes has to be the subject because we are talking about the grapes only. We are not talking about its color, quality, or anything else. So these two sentences will take different verbs. How is it? Here, the quality is a singular noun. So we know a singular subject takes a singular verb. So the quality will take was. It's not going to take were. In this second sentence, we are talking about the grapes. Grapes again is a plural word. It's a plural noun. So we have to take were as a verb. So the sentence will become the grapes were not so good in this one. And in the first one, it will be the quality of the grapes was not so good. So here it is. Please keep in mind the subject is plural in the second sentence. Therefore, we have taken a plural verb. The subject is singular in the first sentence. Therefore, we have taken a singular verb. Okay. So let us take two more sentences. Here it is. There are two sentences. He and she. What will be the verb? Was or were playing. And in the second sentence, we can see gold and platinum is or are precious metals. Now we know that we have to check the subject first. So what is the subject in the first sentence? Do we have one subject or do we have two subjects? Clearly, we have two subjects, he and she. We are talking about two people, he and she. So there is a conjunction here. Just remember, we spoke about it. We need to check the conjunctions also. So he and she, if there are two subjects joined by a conjunction, then we have to take a plural verb. Again, in the second sentence, we have two subjects, gold and platinum. Therefore, we have to take a plural verb, that is are. So the sentences, the right sentence will become he and she were playing. Gold and platinum are precious metals. Let's take this example. The writer and dramatist is or are dead. In this sentence, there are two subjects. So ideally, the writer and dramatist are dead. I think that is the right. What do you think? Isn't it? If there are two subjects joined by a conjunction, then the verb becomes plural because there are two subjects. But wait a second, we are not talking about two subjects here. We are talking about one and the same person who is also a writer and a dramatist because we have not used the writer and the dramatist. If the sentence had been the writer and the dramatist, then the verb would be plural. Then it would mean two different persons. But here in this sentence, we are talking about a single person who was a writer as well as a dramatist. In the second sentence, time and tide wait or waits for none. In this sentence also, just try to understand the meaning. That's what we said. We need to comprehend the meaning because this is what I spoke about. There are exceptions where we have to keep in mind, even though there could be two subjects joined by a conjunction, we need to understand the meaning. If they mean or suggest one idea in the mind or they refer to the same person or thing, then we have to consider using a singular verb. So in this case, the second sentence also will take a singular verb. Why? Because time and tide, we don't mean two separate things here. We mean just like time, time and tide both are same. They never wait. Tide comes and goes. It is a continuous process. You can't stop it anyway. Even if we try hard, we can't stop the tide coming in and going back. Same way, time is a continuous process. The watch will never wait for us. So, time and tide, they convey a single idea. We are talking about time itself and waits for none. Both these things taken as a singular subject, which is like an entity that waits for none. Okay, so what will be the answer here? Time and tide waits for none. Okay. Now let's check another sentence. Bread and butter is or are all I had for breakfast. So what does bread and butter mean? Bread, ideally when we look at it, we can see that bread is one noun, butter is another noun. So that means they are two different subjects. But wait, do they mean a meal? Are we talking about a meal? Yes, bread and butter is what I want to mean that I had for meal. So that's a kind of a meal, bread and butter put together. This is one meal which I had for breakfast. Therefore, the subject is singular and the verb also becomes singular. So bread and butter is all I had for breakfast. In the second one, what the rise and fall of the tide, calm or calms my mind. Now, rise and fall of the tide goes up and falls again. Now, just like that, this entire movement we are not talking about the rise separately and the fall separately, but we are talking about the movement of the tide. That is something that calms my mind. That is what I want to mean. I'm not talking about rise and fall separately. So I want to convey a singular idea, that is the movement of the tide. Therefore, again, in this sentence, we have the rise and fall of the tide calms my mind. Yes, it is. We also said that we need to check the prepositions. So, words joined to a singular or plural subject or noun by certain prepositions like with, as well as, including, etc., act as extra information. They don't mean two subjects. The verb should therefore be singular or plural according to the main subject or noun. So if there is a sentence that has with, as well as, or including, then we have to check and find out which is the main subject here. Let us find out how. Now, in these two sentences, the man with all the birds live or lives on the street. Now, we just said that if we need to find out which is the subject, the man is a subject here. The birds could also be a subject here, but wait a second, we said we need to check the prepositions. With is there. The words like with, including, as well as, if these words are found, then anything after that, anything that we say, any noun or subject that comes after that, we have to ignore it. So the main subject will become the man. Here it is a singular subject. Therefore, it is going to take a singular verb. So the sentence will become the man with all the birds lives on the street, because the man is the main subject. With all the birds is an extra information. In the second sentence, let us see the movie, including all the previews, takes about 2.5 hours to watch. Again, what is the main subject? The movie is the main subject. Why? Because we said that we have to check the prepositions with, including, as well as. Now, including is here. So anything after including is extra information, including all the previews. Previews also seems to be a subject, but it is coming after including. So this is an extra information. So the main subject will become the movie. Therefore, the sentence will become the movie, including all the previews, takes about 2.5 hours to watch. Okay, so in both the sentences, the subject is the noun which we are using before the preposition with and including. Anything after the prepositions are treated as extra information. So don't get confused. Another very important thing. Now, if this subject, here in these two sentences, the main subjects are singular. Therefore, we have taken singular verbs. But suppose in these two sentences, Sanskrit as well as Hindi is or are taught as the third language. Yes, Sanskrit is the main subject because we know that as well as anything after that is some extra information which we are giving, which we can ignore while thinking about subject verb agreement. So Sanskrit is the main subject, which is a singular subject, and therefore we have to take is here as a verb. But in the second one, the players as well as the captain want or wants to win. Here again, after as well as, we have a noun that is the captain, but that is extra information. So which is the main subject? The captain, the players, or both? Of course, just what we learned, that anything after the preposition as well as will be treated as extra information and we don't need to worry about it. So therefore, the players become the main subject. And what kind of a noun it is? Is it a singular or a plural noun? It is a plural noun. It is a plural subject. Therefore, it is going to take the plural verb. So both the sentences, the correct sentences will become Sanskrit as well as Hindi is taught as the third language. And in the second one, the players as well as the captain want to win. Okay, so I think a little bit is getting clear now. I hope you're able to follow what I'm saying. In case you don't follow, please write in the comment section. I'll be happy to help you all over again. But I've tried my best to explain in very simple language. So just follow this entire presentation and follow this entire video. Watch it till the end. Everything will be clear and it'll be like a cakewalk for you.